it's Late Night Lori coming to you from Wisconsin on Sunday, June 22nd. It's 11:19, so I'm a little earlier than I've been the last couple of nights. So I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. I think I said I'm coming to you from Wisconsin, but maybe not. I'm getting my other device set up here so I can see if anybody joins me live and cares to interact with me. So, welcome. Thanks for stopping by, whether you're live with me or catching the replay. Tonight, I'm going to kind of take it easy and I'm going to use the leftovers from last night's card, which I kind of mentioned. So, I used the Sunrise Sailing, just the dies, actually, and then the So Swirly embossing folder that I used. Colleen, hello! The So Swirly embossing folder that I used my brayer on with some ink and just added those little striping highlights. So tonight I'm going to use the circles, excuse me, that were left behind from the Spotlight on Nature dies. So these were the leftover pieces, and I had some extra of the sailboats because I did one in each of the in colors. And excuse me, it always happens that once I start talking, my throat gets really dry. And anyway, we are going to kind of follow one of these templates. This is from the last annual catalog. So this was on page 22 in the 24 to 25 annual catalog. And this has 22 different templates or sketches that can be used. And I did a bunch of these some time ago, but I thought I would revisit this because apparently Stampin' Up! Is going to be adding them to every catalog now. And we do have, like in the mini catalog, and hopefully there's not a glare on here, but the mini catalog had some tags, but you could easily adapt these into cards. And then the new catalog, I think on page 24, let me pull that out. I think it's page 24. Yeah, page 24, there's some more card and tag templates. So some of them are obviously cut to be tags, but again, you could modify them to a card layout. So I am going to be using this little one here because I looked for one that would have a couple of circles, right? So when I went through, I thought, oh, perfect. This one has 2 circles. I'm going to use this Ahoy sentiment again, and that comes from the Saying Something ephemera pack. So I'm going to use that again because it kind of goes with the sailboat theme. And I'm going to show you, I'm not going to have it finished tonight probably, but I used some of the twine to do like a chain stitch. I didn't want to run upstairs to get my crochet hook, but I do know how to crochet. On one of the Stampin' Up! Demonstrations, they showed crocheting to make like a rope, and I thought, what a fun idea, I could do that. So I just kind of did a hand chain stitch, and I'll show you kind of how that's going to lay out. But let's go ahead and get our card base. I'm going to use the same card base color that I used yesterday. All right, and this is the cloud cover. So we've got 8.5 by 5.5, scored normally like I do at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish that because I do like them to lay pretty flat for me. And then what I'm going to do is, let me pull in that layout again, and maybe I should kind of leave that close by. So this layout here shows the card base, a layer, the 2 circles, and then the sentiment strip with some twine or ribbon. So I've got my base. And for the layer, you know, it's typical for me to just cut another piece that's maybe, 3 3/4 by 5, and then put these on a layer. And I could certainly do something like that, but I thought I would do something different. So I cut this is just an old piece of cardstock I have by my desk. And I'm gonna flip this over because I've got a little ridge here and I want that to be in the back. All right. So anyway, I cut this at 3.5, no, 3.25 by 4.5 because I kind of wanted a little bit more framing than what a normal layer would be. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a mask so that when I take it off, it looks like a layer. That's one way to conserve your cardstock. Let's say you're running low on a color or you just don't want to go over to a different part in your studio and cut a piece. So I am going to use this as a mask and we're going to make that little layer. Hopefully you can see that. It's hard for me to zoom up my camera. I don't know. I'm just not super technologically adept. Sometimes I do really good. It depends on what it is. But anyway, we're going to do this little layer here, or the framing rather, and we're going to have a faux layer. We'll call it that. That's what I should have put on my title. Faux layer. So I'm going to pick up some Secret Sea because that's what's in here. So this is Misty Moonlight with this Secret Sea, but my base is Cloud Cover. They all pretty much go together. All right. So all I'm going to do is tap some of this off on my glass mat because that cleans up so easy. And I'm just going to start going around this whole layer. And I can use that ink that I've tapped onto my glass mat to pick up and make more color, right? So if you use your blending brushes on paper, we have lots of ink, but you're basically wasting some of your ink because what gets absorbed in the paper, you can't use again. So if you use either your silicone mat or your glass mat or something similar, then you can actually pick up that extra ink and reuse it. All right. So I want to have some more variations, I think. So I'm going to make part of this a little bit darker, like one corner a little bit darker. We'll see how that works. So, ready for our faux layer? There's our faux layer. Okay, so let me just wipe this up. And I'm going to go ahead and close this because I don't need it anymore. And then we're just going to take these. These are going to go here. These little sailboats are going to go here. Our Ahoy is going to go here. And out of that Sunrise Sailing stamp set, I'm going to use just this seagull, and we can put any kind of sentiment on the inside. Oh, let me just put that out of the way. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have closed up my ink, but usually I get really inky. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and stamp some of these seagulls on here. And let me show you what I'm doing with this twine. So, Colleen, do you crochet or knit? I'm going to pull this out. So, to start, I don't know if you can see that. It almost looks like a braid because this is a chain stitch. And you can do it with a crochet hook, or I just did it with my fingers. But I'm going to use this for that ribbon and or the twine. And even though this template shows the sentiment like here in the middle, I could do something like this again, but I'm just going to fill up this void space here just because I liked how that looked a little bit better. All right, but here I thought I would just add some of this rope. Yeah, I used to crochet lots. I mean, I've made sweaters and Afghans and many Afghans, baby blankets. But I haven't done a whole lot because I spend more time with the paper crafting things. But I'm going to go ahead and make this kind of a background piece maybe for either the sailboat or maybe just to the portion until it gets to like the circles. But I'll put some of this on here and I think that'll be cute. So let me show you how I do that. And I think what I'm going to do is glue these together so we can put them on our card. Well, maybe I shouldn't do that yet. I can actually glue this part. See, when I say, oh, let's glue these and get rid of the loose pieces, then usually there's some reason why I didn't want to glue it down. But I did not make a prototype of this again, so this is just kind of like off the top of my head. Let's make this look fun. And I kind of like it that way, I think. So this we could put flush onto the card, and this one I imagine I will have up on dimensionals just because I want that extra dimension. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to put this one this way because when I did the brayer color on here, some of it tracked onto the part of the card that I didn't really want it to be on. So I'm just going to glue that to kind of camouflage some of that. So since I don't have my crochet hooks in my crafting studio space, I'm just going to do my little finger chain. I'm not going to get it done while we're on camera because it's going to take me just a little bit of time and I don't want to waste everybody's time. Whoop, whoa! Let's see if I can lift this up without having too much glue track all over. We'll see. If that gets a little sticky, there is some tack on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little embossing buddy and just dry that up with some of the chalk that's in here or powder or whatever they put in here. I don't know what's even in there. And then I'm just going to take my rubber eraser and lift some of that off. It happens. Things like that seem to happen pretty frequently with me, actually. So that's better. All right, so let me show you how I did this. And we're gonna pretend those are on here. In fact, let's go ahead and glue Ahoy on there and get that done so I don't lose it. I was making a card for my niece's baby shower for yesterday, and I used the Cutest Cows set. And I used a wobble for the head, and I had it all set to go on the card. And I was putting some other pieces together, and of course, I couldn't find the finished cow. And I'm looking all over. I'm looking in the garbage. I'm looking on my stamp sets. I'm looking on the back of my ink, thinking, okay, maybe some of the adhesive was exposed, which it was. But I was just having a hard time finding that cow, and I finally found it on the back of my trimmer. And I had put my trimmer away, obviously, so it was like, I don't know where else I could have looked, and then I looked down at my trimmer, and there she was. All right, so let's go ahead and put this over here. I think that'll be good. All right, so let me just show you how I'm going to do this little finger chain. I'm going to go ahead and take this out because it's really pretty easy. And if you don't crochet, it should still be relatively easy. And I think I want to get maybe a dark piece of paper. Let me go get some Secret C because that might make it easier for you to see. I'm coming. That might give you a little bit more contrast to see. All right, so when I have my twines, I like to leave them in the bag, and I cut usually a hole for the twine to feed through. sometimes you have to watch, they do get hung up with some of the other rolls, but in theory, it works really well. In actuality, sometimes not. All right, but let's get that one over there. Usually it works pretty well. And it works better if you have them all kind of unrolling in the same direction. All right, so let's get this crumb cake one out of the way. And we've got the white. So what I'm gonna do is just loop this around and kind of feed it through the bottom so that I'm making that first little slip knot. And I should probably leave that a little bit bigger for right now. And what I do then is I go in that circle and I pull through the strand and then I gently tighten it up. Okay. And then you can go through that circle again and just keep pulling that chain up. And then when it gets too long, just pull a little bit to get rid of the excess and just pull it until they're all about the same size. I hope that is easy enough to follow. If you know how to crochet, just get a small crochet hook, big enough to get the size loop you want, obviously. But then just make your chain however long you want it to be. So this does actually go pretty quick, but if I had a crochet hook with me, it would be all done already. Because chain stitch is pretty quick. But you can see then, what I'm doing is I'm holding the chain so that like the braided side always stays on top because that's the back. It looks messier, but the chain part's going to be on the top. All right. So I will just keep pulling this through until it's to the length that I want. All right. So hopefully you can see that. All right. All right. But then once I get it as long as I want it, then I'll just cut this off and then feed that tail through the last hole and cinch it up, and that keeps it from unraveling. Okay. So then when we go back to our card with our faux layer, this will go here. We'll put this up on dimensionals, but then we could actually kind of hide this behind our image. And let's go this way just because it'll be easier for me because I'm left-handed, I guess. So we could just do something like this and loop that around. You could even make like a little loop on it or something. But rather than just a plain old piece of twine or a bow, I think this would be, I don't know, I think that would be a little nicer. Okay. So you could also kind of knot the end and fray the edges and just make it look like, you know, a casual sailing knot or something, I suppose. So that's my card for tonight. Pretty quick, pretty easy. So basically when we did the card last night, we did the layer, we used the dies to cut out the two circles, and these are the circles. So I like to hang on to that stuff if I have something especially in mind. I may use that whatever's in my head as I create the other card, thinking, okay, how is the second one going to look? But this one, it was just kind of random. It's like, okay, I think I'll cut these out. Oh, wait a minute, those would be really cute. So that's how those came to be for this card. And then for the inside, I could very easily do another faux layer in there. But then what I would want to do also is cover this so I don't accidentally get some of the dark ink over there. Or if we just maybe carefully went around the edge. I'm not sure how dark that'll end up being with whatever ink is just left on my bristles. But then I could just put like a happy birthday or something on the inside. So there, that gives you just a light frame too. So it doesn't take a lot to make that impact. All right. So hopefully you like this idea. It might inspire you to create something as well. And whether you know, do a chain stitch for your twine or not, it doesn't really matter. Do a bow, do a knot, whatever you think works. And then I could put some embellishments on here too, but I actually think with the twine and the seagulls on there, if I'm giving this to a guy, that's probably going to be enough, you know, because the guys really aren't necessarily that interested in rhinestones and other gems. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for popping in. I hope this inspires you. I will put a picture of this over on my Facebook page, which is also Lori's Little Bit of Craftin'. And feel free to on both of these, either my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, like the video or the picture. Feel free to share. Feel free to use the ideas, whether you case by slightly editing or casing by copying and sharing everything. You know, that's kind of why we do this, all right? And we just hope to inspire people to create something. Don't you love those seagulls? Yeah, I think they're really, this one, it's just a nice figure. It looks like a real bird, not just two little arcs, right? So yeah, that's a really pretty one. So if you create something and you've used this for some inspiration, go over to my Facebook page, find the post with this picture. Oh, thank you, Colleen, I appreciate it. Find this picture, and when you leave your comment, you can actually leave pictures of what you've created. And I love to see what other people create. But I don't think there's a way to add pictures here on YouTube. So hop over to my other platform as well. I appreciate it. And it helps me grow my channel too. So thank you so much. Colleen, thanks for chatting with me. And I'm calling it a night. We've had some busy family time every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we've got about a week and a half more. Family's going to be here from out of state. So we're splitting our time between home and in another city, not too far away. It's about a 30 to 40 minute drive. So it makes for a long day, but it's so fun to see the family. So until next time, happy crafting. And again, thanks for popping in. Take care, Colleen. Good night.